Welcome everyone to the next episode here of SPINcast. I have Jonathan Martin here with me, and I'll let him introduce his program and where they're located.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jonathan Denny Martin, and I'm the esports coordinator for Post-University Esports. We're based out of Waterbury, Connecticut, and we launched our program in the fall of 2020.
Awesome. We'll kind of get right into it here. Is your program more varsity oriented or club?
We have both. So we have a varsity program where we compete at 8 different game titles in 2 different conferences. We have about 36 students on our various rosters for the varsity program. And we also have a club, it's called the Avis Gaming Association, where we recently just passed 400 members, where we play all kinds of casual games, but it's basically any of our non-varsity titles, anything anybody wants to play. We do charity events and streams, in-person events, hybrid events, all kinds of stuff. So the answer to your question is both.
Awesome. So you kind of mentioned how many players and teams that you guys have. What games do you currently have teams in?
So we have teams in Smash Brothers Ultimate, Valorant, Overwatch, Rocket League, League of Legends, NBA 2K, Halo Infinite, and Madden right now.
Gotcha. And then off of that, are you recruiting for those same titles, any additional ones as well?
Yep, those are pretty much the titles that we're recruiting for now. Generally, the way it works is if students want to compete in a game title that is not listed there, they start off as a club team, which is exactly what happened with our Halo Infinite team, actually. We started as a club team. They wanted to compete, so I helped the ECAC write the rule set for Halo Infinite, and they started League for Halo Infinite, and my team competed in that, and it was fully student run. I, obviously helped them with registration and whatnot, but then at that point it was completely student run, and they did really well. They got top 16 in ECAC, and so I said, all right, you guys are varsity now. And then I am now helping manage the team, help with some of the coaching duties, and also provide broadcasting and shoutcasting support for their matches. That's pretty much how it goes. So I like to say the program follows the students here. So if students want to play something, I'll try to make it happen. If interest wanes in a title, then we may not support that in the future, which is actually happened to our Overwatch team this year due to a number of factors. So we lost a couple players to graduation in the spring, and then due to the release of Overwatch 2, nobody was really that excited to practice Overwatch 1 since it was going away. So it just kind of made sense for our Overwatch team to take a break this season, but they should be back in the spring because Overwatch 2 is pretty awesome. So hopefully there will be a bunch of new interest in that for our incoming students in the spring. But we're a very flexible program, very versatile. We like to play a lot of different game titles and just I want to give as many students the opportunity to compete as possible.
Gotcha. Do you guys offer esports scholarships at least for the varsity titles?
Right now, we do not, but we do have many paid positions and jobs that the students can get on campus. So you can, if you're eligible for federal work study, you can become an esports lab assistant and assist with running the daily operations of our esports lab. We also just opened an esports statistician position to help us keep track of various statistics in our game titles and records that people are holding for various game titles and milestones and whatnot. Nice. So we're hiring a position for that soon. And then we also have broadcasters and shoutcasters who are paid $50 per match that they cover. So we don't have scholarships per se, but there is a wide array of financial opportunities available to you at Post. We do have your traditional academic and athletic scholarships that any of our students are eligible to apply for. We just don't have any esports specific scholarships yet.
Gotcha. What are some of the main traits or skills that you look for in a recruit?
Honestly, the biggest thing for me is passion and coachability. I don't really care that much about what rank you currently are in the game. What I care more about is, are you passionate about the game? Do you love the game? Do you want to compete? And do you have the drive to improve and get better? And are you coachable? Do you actually listen to feedback? Do you try to implement that in your games? Are you open to criticism, or are you one of those players that has an excuse for everything? Are you one of those players that, doesn't treat your teammates or your opponents with respect? So that's the major things that I look for, really, is passion, coachability, and attitude.
Gotcha. And you kind of mentioned this when you were talking about like with your club, like hosting charity events and things like that.
Mhm.
So it sounds like you guys currently do host events, and if so, what kind of events you want to expand off that? What kind of events you guys currently host?
We do. We've mostly been hosting events through our club so far,
Hmm.
but we are looking at potentially hosting, more varsity related or recruiting related events in the future because we do have, the venue for it. But so far, it's pretty much just been club events. We've traditionally done, back during COVID, we did online events only,
Hmm.
streams and charity streams. We raised money for Extra Life, and just a couple weeks ago in September, we actually did our first hybrid event where we had a stream and we also had people in person in our esports lab, and we were raising money for the Jordan Porco Foundation, which is a mental health and suicide prevention
Hmm.
charity. So we ended up raising over $1,800 during
Wow,
that 12-hour event. So we were really excited
awesome.
about that. But yeah, that's pretty much the extent of the kind of events that we put on right now.
Hmm.
And then we always are looking. I'm always looking to find new opportunities for my students to, go to events and attend events. Like I have one of our 2K players is heading to a recruiting event in Hartford tomorrow. So that's exciting. And then we also look to qualify for LAN events whenever we can. We've
Hmm.
been attempting to qualify for CRL and CECC and those types of events. And if any team does end up qualifying for a LAN, then the travel and all expenses are paid by the university for them to attend that LAN. So um, I'm definitely looking to get as many experiences for my students as possible.
Gotcha. And are you also like recruiting for um non-player roles? Because you mentioned you have those paid positions. Is that something you
Hmm.
also either ask recruits and or like, if someone's like, hey, can I come in and do shoutcasting, something that you're looking
Hmm.
for?
It's not necessarily something that we're actively recruiting for, but I always try to mention it when I'm talking to recruits, and if
Hmm.
any of them are interested, then then I talk more about it and kind of the opportunities that are there for those types of roles. So to answer your question, we're not specifically recruiting for it, but if the recruit and people want to ask me about it, I'm more than happy to talk about it. And then they're more than welcome to come and get involved. Anyone that wants to get involved certainly can, right?
Hmm.
Whether it's a paid position or a more unofficial unpaid position. If you want to get involved in the program, you'll be able to get involved somehow.
Gotcha. Well, at the outset of this call or the beginning of this call, you mentioned you're in your lab currently. So what's kind of your facility space look like?
Yeah, so we have, I think most people would probably consider it a medium-sized esports lab. We have 22 gaming PCs in the competition room, a
Hmm.
couple console setups, and then we also have a second room, which acts as kind of a classroom slash broadcasting area. So we have the broadcast desk, which I'm sitting at now, and then we just kind of have some empty tables for our classroom, which is where we teach mostly our EGM classes, which is esports and gaming management. So we
Hmm.
have a full lineup of degrees in that area of study. They're business degrees, and we have a minor, bachelor's, and a master's degree in gaming and esports management. So we're really excited about that. And the classroom side of our venue and our space kind of supports that. We also have more console setups here in the classroom side, as well as a broadcast shoutcasting desk slash teaching desk. And then also we have our retro game area because one of our courses is history of gaming. So students
Hmm.
actually get a chance to get hands on with some of those really old arcade games and, the old Nintendo and Sega consoles, that came out in kind of the 80s and 90s and then kind of go from there through the decades of gaming, if you will. So we're really invested in the education aspect of esports as well as the competition side.
Um, so you saying the classroom is connected or is a part of the lab, correct?
Yeah, they're two separate rooms with an adjoining door, but it is all together considered the esports lab.
Gotcha. And when did you
But we
guys introduce the EGM? Uh,
that was introduced I believe it was the same semester that the varsity program started, fall 2020.
Gotcha.
We're still waiting on final financial aid approval from the federal government on that, so students won't be able to use Title IX federal aid if they
Hmm.
want to major in EGM. But that should be coming soon. And until it does, they can always start as a minor in EGM and, take general education classes or major in something else and minor in EGM in order to use those benefits. And then they can transfer majors, once we get that approval.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, that's pretty cool there. What would you say are some of the biggest challenges that you face with your program?
Biggest challenges, it's really just scheduling. No, for real. Like we have 11 matches per week.
Oof.
And 10 to 12 different practice times per week. Players are on multiple rosters for different games. They have multiple roles in different games, and just finding time for all the students to be able to play their matches and go to classes and go to their practices and deal with any other personal or family obligations that they have, or if they have a job somewhere on campus or off campus. That's a huge challenge. So scheduling is a big one. We're also a majority online school, and half of my players are online students from around the country. So for example, our Rocket League team, our starting 3 players are from New Mexico, Georgia, and Massachusetts. So we always have to be cognizant of the player in New Mexico's time zone difference when we're scheduling matches and when we're scheduling practices and all of that. We have a Valorant player from the Cayman Islands and another one from Utah, Colorado. So, we're spread all over the place. And then, we do have about half of our students and players are on campus and they make use of the esports lab, but everyone who's not, they can participate fully in our program as well. And it's one of the things that I pride myself on, is having a truly full hybrid program. And it's really the only one in the university that students can feel, that they can contribute and participate 100% just as much as the students that are on campus. And it helps a lot with feeling, more connected to the school, especially for the online students, which it can be a real struggle for them to feel connected to the school because they're not actually going to campus, right? They're not living on campus. They're not even going to campus. Yep. They're just logging on to their online classes, seeing our logo plastered up in the corner of their web browser. And then after class, they close it out and that's pretty much it, right? But they can join the esports team. And that's how they kind of find that sense of school pride and school identity and meet other post students that also share the same interests that they do and play the same games that they do. And it's really just a beautiful thing because, before esports, online students really didn't have much to get involved with the school outside of simply attending class. So that was one of the main reasons that they wanted to launch the program. And COVID, oddly enough, kind of actually helped in that regard by forcing everyone to go online when we launched the program back in fall 2020. So that ended up kind of helping us out a lot. I hope I answered your question. I kind of just kept on rambling and didn't even remember what question you asked.
That makes sense. I mean, that's a lot of teams and a lot of schedules and a lot of different
challenges, right? You asked about challenges.
A lot of different moving parts to kind of putting together week by week. But in the opposite of that, what's kind of like some of the more proud moments or bigger achievements that you're within your program?
Biggest thing for us was we had a great run in the ECAC Open Division last year. 2 of our teams, our Smash Brothers Ultimate team and Rocket League team, both got second place in the ECAC Open Division. That was out of 64 and 71 schools, respectively. So we're really excited about that.
We're coming in first this year is what you're saying.
Well, that's the plan. That's the plan. We are competing for the first time this fall in 2 different conferences. So we're competing in the NECC as well as the ECAC. So, and adding a couple more game titles, adding Halo, adding Madden this season, we're really looking forward to making our mark on both of those conferences. But yeah, definitely proudest moment, I think. Getting those second place finishes in those 2 game titles in the same season. And then also obviously finishing our esports lab was a big one. We finished and opened it officially back in April of this year.
Okay, cool. We'll kind of wrap it up here. If you could give one piece of advice to any player and or student watching, what would it be?
I would say think about yourself as, an entire, you're when you're getting recruited, your whole self is getting recruited, not just your ability in the game, right? So think about your ability in the game, maintaining that high rank, playing with players who are really good, studying yourself, watching players who are better than you, trying to learn and improve. But also remember that you're being recruited as a student first. There's a reason it's student athlete and student is first, right? So keep your grades up, as high as you can. And do extracurriculars, help out with your community, attend in-person events, show people that you have, a good attitude and that you're willing to be coachable and that you respect your teammates and your opponents. Don't be toxic online, whether that on any platform, whether that's social media or in your games. Don't, be getting your accounts banned by the developer or whatever game that you're playing. Just be, remember that when directors are looking at you, they're looking at the whole person. They're not just looking at your game rank, right? So that would be my biggest point of advice to recruits.
And you kind of mentioned earlier on too that rank isn't like, kind of the first thing you look at. What would you say is kind of like, do you have like the first thing you look at, or like maybe two things that you look at when a player kind of, whether they send you kind of a resume or you view a profile or something like that?
GPA.
Okay.
I want students that are serious students, first and foremost. So it's not the end all be all. Like if the GPA is low, it's not like I won't talk to you, but
sure.
If there are two different profiles in front of me and one is a 3.9 GPA and the other is a 2.2 GPA, guess which one I'm going to message first?
Yeah. 3.9.
So that's pretty much what I look at first. And again, like I said, it's not the only thing that I look at. I look at the complete picture, like I just mentioned. But I would say it's definitely one of the first things, if not the first thing I look at in almost any profile that I'm looking at, for sure.
Awesome. Well, some exciting stuff going on with the new lab, new teams and everything like that. So, and even new league that you guys are competing in. So a lot of cool stuff going on there at Post. But to just give you a chance, kind of plug any socials or any places where players and their parents can kind of learn more about your school or program and school.
Yeah, for sure. So we have two Twitch channels actually, so we can have simultaneous matches being broadcast. We have twitch.tv/postu esports, which is our main channel. And then we have twitch.tv/postu esports 2. We also have our Discord server, which is for our club. We have our YouTube channel. Just search Post University Esports on YouTube. We've got our Twitter, which is at PostUniv Esports, UNIV Esports. And then we've also got a TikTok as well, where we post highlights. So just search Post University Esports on TikTok and you'll be able to find us there as well.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate the time, Jonathan, and you can catch us on the next episode.
Of course. Thanks very much, Swab. Great to be here. Catch you later, everyone.